I want to talk to you about a specific phrase. It is a phrase I hear every single day. It sounds positive. It sounds reassuring. It is what we all hope to say when a friend asks how we are doing or when our children call to check in on us. The phrase is, I feel fine. If you are 30 years old, feeling fine is a perfectly accurate measure of your health. If you are 30 and nothing hurts, nothing is broken, and you have the energy to get through the day, you are likely healthy. But I need to share a hard truth with you today, one born from over 30 years of practicing medicine, teaching at the university level, and holding the hands of thousands of patients as they navigate the later chapters of life. Here is the truth. After the age of 70, feeling fine is no longer a diagnosis. In fact, it can be a dangerous illusion. We are culturally conditioned to believe that health is simply the absence of symptoms. We are taught that if we aren't coughing, if we aren't feverish, if we don't have a sharp pain in our chest, and if we can manage our daily grocery run without collapsing, then we are healthy. We assume the body is a machine that will scream at us the moment something goes wrong, much like a car dashboard lighting up. But the human body is not a car that simply lights up a check engine light the moment a part wears down. The human body is a biological miracle of adaptation. It is designed to survive. It is designed to mask problems, to compensate, to reroute traffic, and to keep you functioning at all costs. This ability to hide decline is a beautiful thing when we are young. But when you are 75, this ability becomes a liability. It means that major biological shifts, profound changes in your muscle fibers, your arterial walls, your nerve conduction, and your bone density are happening silently, invisibly, right below the surface of your awareness. Today, I want to peel back the layers of that phrase, I feel fine. I want to take you on a tour of what is actually happening in the engine room of your physiology while you are sitting there feeling comfortable. We are going to talk about the silent gap between what you do every day and what your body is actually capable of handling. I am not telling you this to frighten you. Fear is a useless tool in medicine. It paralyzes us. I believe in empowerment through understanding. I am telling you this because I want you to keep your independence. I want you to protect your dignity. I want you to be the person who decides how you live your life, not the person who has that decision forced upon them by a sudden fall or an illness that could have been predicted. To do that, we have to stop relying on how we feel and start understanding how we function. Let's begin with a fundamental medical concept that we drill into first-year medical students but rarely take the time to explain to our patients. It is called physiological reserve. I want you to imagine your body is like a bank account. When you are 20 years old, you are a billionaire of physiology. You have massive reserves. You can stay up all night, eat terrible food, run a marathon without training, or catch a bad flu, and your body writes a check from that massive reserve account to cover the cost. You bounce back instantly. You don't feel the cost of the stress because your balance is so high. As we age, that account balance naturally decreases. This is the normal, inevitable process of aging. Our kidneys filter a little slower. Our heart walls get a little stiffer. Our nerves conduct signals a fraction of a second slower. Our maximum lung capacity shrinks. Now here's the crucial part. Most of our daily lives, sitting, walking around the house, cooking dinner, watching television, cost very little. In terms of physiological currency, these activities are cheap. They only require about 20 to 30% of your maximum capacity. So let's say at age 40, your maximum capacity was 100%. You used 20% to live your life. You had a huge buffer. By age 75, let's say your maximum capacity has dropped to 50%. You are still only using 20% to live your daily life. Because you are living within your means, you feel fine. You don't feel the loss of that upper 50% because you never try to use it. You are cruising along comfortably. But the reserve, the emergency fund, has shrunk dramatically. The danger arises when life demands a sudden, expensive withdrawal. This could be a bout of pneumonia. It could be a minor surgery. It could be tripping over a rug. It could be a sudden heat wave. When these stressors hit a 40-year-old, they dip into their reserve and recover. When they hit a 75-year-old who has no reserve left, the system doesn't just struggle, it crashes. This is what we call decompensation. I have had countless patients who are 75 or 80 who tell me, "Doctor, I'm in great shape. I feel exactly the same as I did at 60." And then they stumble on a curb. A fall that a younger person would brush off puts this patient in the hospital for 3 weeks, followed by months of rehab, and sometimes they never go home again. Why? Not because of the fall itself, but because they had no bounce back in their account. They were driving at maximum capacity just to maintain normal. They felt fine, but they were fragile. Let's go deeper into the specific systems to understand where this reserve goes. I want to talk about your muscles. When I say muscle, I don't want you to think about bodybuilders or looking good in a swimsuit. I want you to think about muscle as an organ system, as vital as your heart or your lungs. There is a condition we call sarcopenia. The word comes from Greek, meaning poverty of flesh. It is the age-related loss of muscle mass and function. Studies from major geriatric research centers indicate that after age 30, we lose 3 to 5% of our muscle mass per decade. After age 60, that acceleration picks up significantly. But here is the tricky part, and why feeling fine is so misleading. You often don't look different. As we age, if we aren't very careful, our bodies replace muscle fibers with intramuscular fat and connective tissue. It's a process similar to the marbling in a steak. Your arm might measure the exact same circumference with a tape measure. Your weight on the scale might be exactly the same as it was 10 years ago. You fit in the same clothes. But the quality of the tissue underneath has degraded. Specifically, we lose what are called type 2 muscle fibers. These are your fast twitch fibers. They are the engines of power. Now, please listen closely to the distinction I'm about to make. It is vital for your safety. Strength is your ability to slowly lift a heavy box. Power is your ability to react quickly and generate force in a split second. When you trip over the edge of a carpet, strength does not save you. Power saves you. Your brain has to send a lightning-fast signal to your leg to shoot out, plant the foot, and generate enough explosive force in a fraction of a second to stop your body weight from hitting the floor. That action requires type 2 fast twitch fibers. And those are the very first things to die off if we aren't stimulating them. A patient can walk around their house, do the dishes, and feel fine because those slow, low-intensity movements do not require fast twitch fibers. They use the slow twitch fibers, which age much better. You don't know the fast fibers are gone until the moment you need them, the moment gravity takes hold. I want you to ask yourself right now, when was the last time you moved quickly? Not rushed, not stressed, but physically moved your body with speed? If the answer is, "I can't remember," or "I don't do that anymore," that is a warning sign. The absence of pain does not mean the presence of power. there is another layer to muscle loss that makes you feel fine while damage is being done. Muscle is your body's largest sponge for sugar or glucose. When you eat a meal, your blood sugar rises, and insulin knocks on the door of your muscles to let that sugar in to be used as fuel. When you lose muscle mass, even if your weight stays the same, you lose the storage space for that sugar. The sugar has nowhere to go, so it stays in your blood a little longer, or your pancreas has to pump out double the insulin to force it in. This is the silent creep of insulin resistance. You don't feel high insulin. You don't feel your blood sugar creeping up from 90 to 95 to 100 over 5 years. You feel fine. But your metabolism is rusting from the inside out, damaging tiny blood vessels in your eyes, your kidneys, and your brain. By the time this shows up as type 2 diabetes on a blood test, the process has been happening for a decade. Maintaining muscle isn't just about not falling, it's about protecting your metabolic engine. Let's move to the neurological system, specifically how you navigate the world. Balance is not a single sense. It is a complex negotiation, a continuous committee meeting between three systems: your vision, your inner ear or the vestibular system, and proprioception. Proprioception is a fascinating word. It describes the ability of the nerves, mostly in your feet and ankles, to tell your brain exactly where your body is in space without you looking. If you close your eyes and raise your hand, you know where your hand is. That's proprioception. As we cross the threshold of 70, the nerve endings in our feet often become less sensitive. It's not necessarily full, painful neuropathy, just a dulling of the signal. The resolution of the picture your feet send to your brain gets blurry. At the same time, the tiny crystals and fluid in the inner ear that detect movement can degrade or thicken. The signal gets sluggish. So, how does the body compensate? It cheats. It becomes visually dependent. Your brain realizes the data from the feet and ears is unreliable, so it starts relying heavily on your eyes to tell you where you are and to keep you upright. As long as the lights are on and the ground is flat, you feel fine. You walk perfectly straight. You don't feel dizzy. But what happens when you get up in the middle of the night to use the restroom? The room is dark. You've taken away the visual system. Now your brain is listening for the signals from your feet, but those signals are whisper quiet. It tries to listen to the inner ear, but that's sluggish. Suddenly, the committee meeting in your brain falls silent. You are disoriented. You stumble. Patients often tell me, "Doctor, I don't have balance problems. I just tripped that one time because it was dark and I was groggy." No, you tripped because your backup systems have silently eroded and you were relying entirely on one system, your eyes, that you couldn't use in the dark. This decline didn't hurt. It didn't show up on a blood test. It was hidden behind the mask of feeling fine during the daylight hours. Now, let's talk about the heart and the blood vessels. This is perhaps the area where feeling fine is most deceptive and leads to the most regret. We all know about cholesterol and blood pressure, but I want to talk about arterial stiffness. When we are young, our arteries are like fresh rubber bands, stretchy, compliant, and soft. When the heart pumps, they expand to accept the blood. As we age, the protein structures in the vessel walls change. They become more like stiff leather pipes. This happens to almost everyone to some degree. It is a part of biology. To push blood through these stiffer pipes, your heart has to work a little harder. It thickens its muscle wall. This creates a state where your resting blood pressure might be managed with medication, and you feel absolutely normal sitting in your chair. But the cardiovascular system has lost its gears. It can't shift up and down as easily. Furthermore, we have these amazing sensors in our neck and chest called baroreceptors. They are pressure sensors. When you stand up quickly, gravity pulls blood down to your legs. These sensors are supposed to yell at your heart, "Beat faster, tighten the vessels," to keep blood in your brain. As we age, these sensors get lazy. They react slower. I see patients who say, "I feel fine. I just get a little dizzy if I get up too fast, so I just get up slow." Or, "I get a little winded when I take the stairs, so I take the elevator now." Do you see what happened there? They adjusted their life to match their declining capacity. They avoided the symptom. They didn't fix the problem. They just stopped doing the activity that revealed the problem. This is the most common trap of the 70s. We subconsciously curate our lives to avoid discomfort. We stop carrying the heavy laundry basket. We stop walking up the hill to the neighbors. We stop driving at night. We stop going to crowded restaurants because it's hard to hear. By shrinking our world, we eliminate the symptoms. We feel fine because we are doing less. But doing less accelerates the decline. It is a vicious cycle. The less you do, the less you can do. The reserve shrinks further. Your world gets smaller and smaller until feeling fine is limited to sitting in a single chair. We must also touch on the brain. This is a sensitive topic, I know. We all fear cognitive decline more than perhaps anything else. But I'm not talking about Alzheimer's disease here. I'm talking about processing speed and cognitive reserve. Just like the body, the brain is excellent at compensating. If one neural pathway gets a little slow or blocked by microvascular changes, tiny restrictions in blood flow, the brain instantly reroutes the signal. It finds a detour. You can carry on a conversation, remember your grandkids' birthdays, and manage your checkbook perfectly well. You feel sharp. But the brain is using more energy to do these standard tasks. It is maxed out on attention. It has no spare bandwidth. Here's a common scenario that we look for in geriatrics. A senior is walking down the street. They are walking well, with a good pace. Then a friend walks by and asks, "How are you?" The senior stops walking to answer. This is called stops walking while talking. It sounds trivial, but clinically it is a profound marker. It means the brain no longer has the bandwidth to manage the motor task of walking and the cognitive task of speaking simultaneously. It has to pause one to do the other. If you notice that you can't walk and have a complex conversation at the same time, or that you can't chop vegetables while listening to the news without feeling flustered, that is a sign. It is a sign that your cognitive reserve is thinning. The buffer is gone. You feel fine when you do one thing at a time. But life rarely throws us one thing at a time. Life is chaotic. And it is in that chaos that the accidents happen. I want to pause here and look you in the eye. I know this sounds heavy. I know it might sound like I'm telling you that you are falling apart. I am not. I am telling you that the gauges you are using to measure your health, pain, and discomfort are broken. There is a phenomenon we see in geriatrics called the cliff. Often, health in the 70s and 80s doesn't decline in a smooth, gentle slope. It looks like a plateau. I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then, boom. A cliff. A flu leads to dehydration. Dehydration leads to a fall. The fall leads to a hip fracture. The fracture leads to immobility. The immobility leads to depression and muscle loss. Within 6 months, a vibrant, independent person is in assisted living. Every single one of those patients told me they felt fine the week before it happened. The tragedy is not the event itself. The tragedy is that the decline in reserve that caused the cliff had been happening for 10 years, and because it was silent, nobody did anything about it. We treat illness. We are terrible at treating declining reserve. So, how do we fix this? How do we step back from the cliff? The good news, and it is very good news, supported by rigorous science, is that the human body retains the ability to adapt, strengthen, and improve right up until our very last days. We have seen 90-year-olds build muscle mass in clinical trials. We have seen balance improve in patients with history of strokes. We have seen cognitive processing speed up with dual task training. It is never, ever too late. But the strategy has to change. You have to stop waiting to feel bad before you act. You have to start training for the sport of aging. Here is what I want you to do. I want you to become a detective of your own physiology. First, I want you to test your power, not just your endurance. I don't care if you can walk 2 miles slowly. That's great for your heart, but it won't save you from a fall. I want to know, can you get out of a chair without using your hands? Try it right now if you're safe. Sit in a hard chair. Cross your arms over your chest. Stand up fast. If you have to rock 3 times to get momentum, or if you have to use your hands to push off the armrests, you have a reserve deficit. That is your early warning. Practice this every day. The sit to stand is one of the most powerful exercises you can do. It builds that hip power we talked about. Do 10 of them in a row while you watch the news. Make your legs burn a little. That burn is the signal to your body to keep the fast twitch fibers alive. Next, I want you to annoy your balance system. Don't just walk. Walking is a straight line. Life is crooked. You need to challenge your balance safely. When you are brushing your teeth with the sink counter right there to grab if needed, stand on one foot just for 10 seconds. Then switch. If that is too easy, try it while closing your eyes, but please keep your hands hovering over the sink for safety. You have to annoy your balance system to wake it up. If you never feel a little wobbly during practice, you aren't improving your balance. You are just maintaining your decline. You need to safely find the edge of your ability and push it. I also want you to get on the floor. This is the one that makes my patients groan. If your knees and hips allow it and you have no medical restriction, I want you to practice getting down on the floor and getting back up. It is the ultimate functional test. If you fall and cannot get up, that is a life-threatening situation. If you practice getting up once a day, even if you need to use a chair or cushions to help you climb up at first, you are maintaining the complex motor patterns required to save your own life. It keeps the hips mobile and the core strong. Furthermore, be greedy with your effort. This is a psychological shift. Modern life tries to make everything easy for us. Automatic doors, elevators, rolling suitcases, delivery services. I want you to reject the ease. When you see a heavy door, don't look for the automatic button. Push it. Feel the resistance. When you drop something, don't leave it for someone else. Squat down and get it. When you have groceries, carry the basket instead of pushing the cart if it's light enough. Every time you choose the easier path, you are telling your body you don't need to be strong anymore. And your body listens. It will dismantle the muscle it thinks you don't need. Be greedy with your effort. Do things the hard way. That friction is what keeps you young. And finally, hydrate before you are thirsty. Here is one final silent sign. As we age, our thirst mechanism, the signal that tells us to drink, fades. You can be significantly dehydrated and not feel thirsty. Dehydration causes confusion, dizziness, and falls. Don't wait to feel thirsty. Drink water like it is a prescription medication. It keeps the blood volume up, which helps those pressure sensors we talked about keep you from getting dizzy. I want to wrap this up by returning to where we started. I feel fine. I want you to change your relationship with that phrase. Instead of aiming to simply feel fine, I want you to aim to be capable. I want you to be able to lift your suitcase into the overhead bin on a plane. I want you to be able to pick up your grandchild without fear. I want you to be able to look over your shoulder in the car to check your blind spot without turning your whole torso because your neck is too stiff. These things require maintenance. They require you to look past the silence of the body and engage with it deliberately. Getting older is a privilege. Many people didn't get the chance to be 70. Denying the aging process doesn't work. But engaging with it, managing it, respecting the machine enough to tune it up, that absolutely works. You have lived through 7 decades or more. You have weathered storms, raised families, built careers, and seen the world change. You have resilience in your spirit. Now, I'm asking you to build that same resilience in your physiology. Don't wait for the pain. Don't wait for the diagnosis. Don't wait until you don't feel fine. Start today. Stand on one leg while the kettle boils. Get out of that chair with power. Take the stairs if you can. Prove to yourself not that you are fine, but that you are strong. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Tell me, have you noticed these silent changes? Have you caught yourself avoiding things just to stay comfortable? Let's start a conversation about what real health looks like after 70. It helps others to see they aren't alone in this. And if you found this helpful, if this felt like the truth you needed to hear, please do subscribe. We have many more of these fireside chats to have. Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. I'll see you next time.